Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So we've got the first amount of support for Lightning Overdrive, and this actually does surprise me. We're getting Yuma support. I don't know whether they were trying to hint towards something like this from, Duel Links in October released Zexal as the latest world to be developed. So that's probably what they were planning. Konami is being very clever about these types of things. And even the Pack Monster, I know I've had a look at these cards already. I knew they were being. This is obviously a new version of Utopia. So the first card is Pegasus Twin Saber. It's a Zeal weapon. It's level 5 light attribute beast effect monster with 1000 attack and 2100 defense. Its first effect, you can only control one Zeal weapon, Pegasus Twin Saber. Second, if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or higher than yours, you can special summon this card from your hand. 3, you can target one Utopia monster you control. Equip this card you control to that target as an equip spell. That gives it 1,000 attack. And 4, once per turn, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can negate any monster effect activated on your opponent's field. I would have to say this card has seen play within the anime. If you remember back to episodes 110 and 111, that's when Yuma and Astral had the big final showdown with number 96 Dark Mist, where he'd absorbed all of that power, and then he had 3 Chaos 60s monsters. I think he had Chaos 69, Heraldry Crest of Horror. He had Chaos number 92, that Heart Earth Dragon's Chaos form. And he also had Dark Storm, which is the Chaos form of Dark Mist, which is number 96. To win, Yuma had to use Pegasus Twin Saber. It basically shut down his opponent's effects and was able to win the duel for him. The first part of the effect, controlling only one of them isn't a big deal. Most of the Zeal weapons you're only going to want to run one of within a deck, otherwise you're going to clog it up too much, you're going to draw into them, and most of them, tend to equip to Utopia. If you draw in other cards, it can become very bricky, and it's just not a good place to be. In fact, my opinion is very much, the more of these Zeal weapons you get, the more of the older ones are going to get thrown out, because these ones will power creep the old ones. Summoning is not a bad condition. If your opponent has more than 2,000 life points than yours, special summoning is a good idea. Potentially, you can just bring this out anyway through other cards, even things like, traditional Shining Angel. That lets you bring out a monster with 1,500 or less attack when it's destroyed in battle. Another way of bringing it out if you need to. The standard equip effect to boost its attack by 1,000, that's applies to most of the other Zeal weapons anyway. There's not much to really say about it, although the 3,500 attack Utopia isn't bad. But being able to shut down your opponent's activated abilities is fantastic, because it's not a triggered effect, it just happens when this card is summoned. That means your opponent isn't going to be able to respond to it with any of the Ghost Ogre, or any of the hand traps, or any of the various Synchro Exceeds monsters, or anything they've got on the field, which makes it a very versatile card for that, just that effect alone. And the next card is a Zeal Server Arms Sage. This is a level 4 light attribute warrior effect monster with 300 attack and 900 defense. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, if you control exactly one level 4 monster except a copy of itself and no other monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And 2, an Utopia Exceeds monster that was summoned using this card on the field as material gains this effect. If it is Exceeds summoned, you can add one Zeal weapon monster from your deck to your hand. The whole point of this card is it just adds consistency to the deck. It helps to search through more of your Zeal weapon types of monsters, so that's always a benefit. And because it can actually special summon itself, means you can instantly go into your Utopia. You're not having to wait or to meet other conditions. You don't have to run any specific additional support, which might be, again, bricky for your hand. The next card is Zeal Server Ascend Sage. This is a level 4 light attribute warrior type effect monster. With the reverse stats on this one, it's got 900 attack and 300 defense. And you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, if you control no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand. And 2, an Utopia Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field as material gains this effect. If it is Xyz summoned, you can add 1 rank up magic normal spell from your deck to your hand. Again, it adds to the consistency of the deck. Most of the Utopias have a means of ranking up, so being able to search for the rank up as well is brilliant, especially since you might not have one in your opening hand, and just adding to your consistency is always the best way to go. You never want to rely on your opponent doing the things, you only ever want to rely on your cards doing the things for you. Okay, and now is the cover monster. This is Dragonic Utopia Ray. It's a rank 5 light attribute warrior type Xyz effect monster, 2500 attack, 2000 defense, and it requires 3 level 5 monsters as its materials. This card's name is always treated as number C39 Utopia Ray. 1, once per turn, when this card is targeted for an attack or by a card effect, you can equip 1 Zeal weapon monster from your hand or deck to this card, as if it were equipped by its own effect. 2, once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target face-up cards your opponent controls, up to the number of Zeal weapon monster cards equipped to this card, negate their effects. This card, I think, is really impressive for what it can do. Okay, it's only a 2500 attack monster, but remember what I was saying before. Most of the Zeal weapons provide an attack boost. That tends to be 1000 or more attack. So this is always a 3500 plus attack monster. And it not only just equips from the hand, you can equip from the deck. So you've got all the options you want to equip whatever you need, depending on your situation. Most of these Zeal weapons have effects that benefit at different points, so timing it well is not really an excuse. You're not blocking or bricking your hand. You're bringing them out from the deck, which thins the deck. It all adds to a massive load of consistency. And also you can use the effects of the Xyz materials 3 times, when bringing out 3 level 5 monsters, so that's a good thing. And potentially, the more Zeal weapon monsters you've got equipped, the more cards you can basically shut down. I know this is only for face-up cards, but even still, being able to shut some of those cards down can be the difference between you winning and losing. I know it's not as good as if you could just shut down any generic cards, but I don't think they wanted to make it that broken. Otherwise, you're going to be having issues of just people just spending time playing this, and trust me, when they introduced it on onomatopoeia monsters for Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, lots of people kind of got on the bandwagon for that, and it's been seen a lot of. We do not want a repeat with this side of his deck either. It's just not a good way to be. And we've got a new Zeal weapon, Dragonic Halberd. It's a rank 5 Dark Dragon Xyz effect monster with 3000 attack and 2000 defense. It requires 2 level 5 monsters, and the effects are: it cannot attack directly. Once per turn, you can attach 1 material from this card, add 1 Zeal spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. 3, you can target 1 Utopia monster you control, equip this card you control to that target as an equip spell. That gives it 3000 attack. And finally, when the equipped monster destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon any number of Zeal weapon monster cards equipped to the equipped monster. This card is also amazing. I think Lion Arms is another one of the rank 5 Xyz monsters that was used by Yuma and Astral against Vector, and that was used to defeat his number 69 and win the duel in I think it was the finals of the duelist competition they had. The balance is that with this card, it cannot attack directly, not an issue. you're probably going to be equipping it to Utopia anyway. Those 3,000 attack points are going to make a massive lot of difference. It's going to become a 6,500 attack monster. The whole thing about detaching the materials, most likely you're going to use this as an equip for Utopia anyway, so having the ability to search for a Zeal spell or trap just adds to the consistency of the deck. And the final part of the effect, to be able to special summon any of the Zeal weapon monster cards, means that you can go into various other Xyz monsters. You have more flexibility between equipping cards and unequipping them, much like Union monsters. Only difference is you have more flexibility through this than you have really with the Union monsters. They can only be done once per turn. If you can find a way, you could probably make this quite broken. And these tend to have more powerful, effects anyway. And we've got a brand new rank up card. Rank up Magic Zeal Force. It's a normal spell card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Target one Xyz monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck one Utopia or Zeal weapon monster that is one rank higher than that monster you control by using it as material. And if you do, place one Zeal weapon or Zeal server monster from your deck on the top of your deck. This is treated as an Xyz summon, and you transfer its materials to the summon monster. And 2, if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or higher than yours, you can banish this card from your graveyard to draw one card. So this instantly lets you go into, a Utopia or a Zeal monster that's a weapon monster that is a rank higher than what you've controlled. So you've got the flexibility on that. There are so many different Utopia monsters. Using that effect isn't a condition of itself. It's very flexible for what you need. And there shouldn't be really any issues when doing this. Of course, the other benefit is if your opponent does end up with higher life points, provided you meet this condition, drawing a card by banishing this is not a bad, additional effect. We have Zeal Construction. This is a normal spell card. You can only activate one card with the card's name per turn. Reveal one card in your hand, and if you do, add one of the cards below from your deck to your hand, then shuffle the revealed card into the deck. Zeal Weapon Monster, Zeal Server Monster, Zexal Spell or Trap card, Rank Up Magic Spell or Rank Down Magic Spell. And this reminds me of another card with the Onomatopoeia monsters. They had a search card for this. It was Do-Do-Do, Go-Go-Go, Go-Go-Go, or I remember the other one, there's another one. It was able to kind of search for any of those cards, any of that type of support. So this is supporting the other side of it with the Zeal weapons and the rank up magic cards. Again, it's just adding to consistency. It's going to be amazing to see how this deck's going to function, or how you're going to actually take the direction for the deck, considering, you've got two different pathways. You can go through the pure pathway, using the Onomatopoeia monsters, or you can go through this constant ranking up and down, and then equipping the Zeal monsters as well, whichever route, seems to be more effective. We have Zeal Entrust. This is a normal spell card with the effect you can only use each of the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. Target one Utopia Zexal weapon or Zexal server monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand or special summon it. And 2, if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Zexal weapon, one Zexal spell or trap card in your graveyard, except Zexal Entrust, add it to your hand. Being able to do this means you can instantly bring out one of the key cards you need, and you can either bring that to your hand or special summon it. Often you're going to just special summon it. Who are you kidding? It's not going to the hand unless it's specifically one of those Zexal weapons that needs to quit from the hand. That's the only reason I would see to doing that. And of course, being able to recover one of your Zexal spell traps by banishing this card is always a great level of recovery rather than having to specifically run anything else. And the final card, Zexal Alliance. It's a normal trap card with the effect, if a face-up Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card effect, pay life points so that you can only have 10 left. Special summon one Utopia monster from your graveyard, and if you do, place one card from your deck on the top of your deck. Summon monster's attack becomes doubled. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by battle, except with another number monster. So this is trying to play into the fact that with the original anime series, with the number monsters, they couldn't be destroyed by anything outside of another number. Yes, there were a couple of exceptions to that. Galaxy Eyes, Photon Dragon, and some of the other monsters that were able to kind of negate that effect were able to still destroy them by battle. But this is kind of running alongside that theme that a number must destroy another number. I love the effect of this card because it's so easy to implement. First, being destroyed by battle or card effect, it's really easy for your opponent to just get over something. It does require you to lose a lot of life points, so even if you were to take sparks damage from this effect, you lose the duel. But in exchange, you're summoning a Utopia monster. All the Utopias, I think, other than Roots, have at least 2,500 attack. So it becomes a 5,000 attack monster that cannot be destroyed by battle, that cannot be destroyed by card effects. Yes, it also has the problem that it's only destroyed by effects, not unaffected by effects. Had this come out when the original series had ended, I would say this card is a lot better. But this is a massive gamble. If your opponent has anything, and I see anything that's a send, or banish, or return to your hand type of effect, you've lost the duel. It's such a risky card to use, and only one I would imagine you'd use if you were that desperate and that close to losing that you need to do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but people get surprised by some of these rogue and random cards from time and again. It's only when they really become known that they become an issue. My biggest example of that is was Gren Marju Daiza. When it first came out ages ago, it was in one of the series within Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. No one really thought about it, no one really considered it. It got big when the Golden Castle of Stromberg came into play, because what that did was essentially every turn you banished 10 random cards from the top of your deck, which meant, it was fueling 4,000 attack points on top of it. And there were a couple of other cards that were banished cards, which also helped to support it. When it first came to doing that, people were so surprised and they were not prepared for it. Now it's a very staple kind of strategy. It's very rogue, but people are aware of it. My concern of this, once they know this is out, they know this is something that some players might look to doing. So what do you think of these cards? I personally love them. I think they're brilliant. I think they provide a lot more variety and of different ways of running the Yuma's deck, really. I think of it a little bit like Elemental Heroes and Jaden's hero deck, because you've got 5 different archetypes, like sub-archetypes within them that pair it to some point. Yes, there is still a lack of consistency with some of the cards, but generally I wouldn't complain about them, and I like the options that you have, much the same with this. I would be hoping in the future they might be doing a little bit more of that with maybe, I would say I'd like to see some more of that with. His deck's still a bit muddled, and I would love to see that also with Yugi as well, his Dark Magician support, because I think, again, that is very specific and quite predictable and very linear. Please leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh! Content.